call this meeting of the Fremont County Board of Commissioners to order. If you all please rise and join us for invocation from Lauren Coleman from the E Free Church of Canyon City, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Lauren, hit that button right in front there too. Thank you.
All right.
Yep. All right, let's pray. Lord, as we enter into this meeting, we want to first stop and recognize your sovereignty and your rule. We want to thank you for these leaders in our county and ask that you give them wisdom as they make decisions for us residents, knowing that our best plans are ridiculous if they don't fall into your better plan. So guide them and lead them. We pray for humility, that they will be able to lay aside their agendas when it is not what is right and good for our community. And so we just ask that you will guide this meeting and the decisions that follow after. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Lauren.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Lauren. Roll call, please.
Commissioner McFall.
Present.
Commissioner Bell.
Present.
Commissioner Grantham.
Here.
County Attorney Jackson.
Present.
County Manager Bryant.
Present.
Planning and Zoning Director Garrett.
Present.
Thank you. Move on to approval of the agenda. I don't know of any changes.
Mr. Chair, I also am unaware of any changes to make for today's agenda, so I move for approval as presented.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded for approval of the agenda. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
On to the consent agenda. I want to note under the consent agenda, we are scheduling 3 public hearings for May 11th at 10 o'clock. One is a zone change for property on 115 and Telk Road. One is a OPC modification for a pure medical marijuana facility. And one is a temporary use permit for VFW Post 2788 for Loyalty Day Parade.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of the consent agenda, which would include the approval of the airport land lease and the 3 public hearings for May 11th, 2021 at 10 a.m., including the zone change 21-001, OPC 14-011, and the temporary use permit 21-002.
I second.
Has been moved and seconded for approval of the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Move on to administrative and informational. We'll start with the county manager, Sonny Bryant's report. Good morning.
Good morning. So just a couple of quick updates. We're finalizing the remodel work on the 2nd floor courthouse project, so that's scheduled to be done this week. They're doing the final walkthrough today just to get the punch list items to get that construction project closed out. We had a meeting to review the 95% design for the Pathfinder Park Community Center, so that design is coming together very nicely, and it's actually scheduled to break ground. Well, they've already started doing the dirt work out there, and they're working on the building permit right now, so they're scheduled to start construction early May. We're finishing up the 2021 cleanup program, so if you haven't gotten your trash voucher, we still do have about 100 of those left up in room 106. Those are only good through this Friday, so we would like to try to get those out into citizens' hands and get as many properties impacted as we can. So if you haven't gotten one yet, please come in and see us in room 106 and we'll get you a voucher. And then the last thing, the last couple of weeks we've been working on the Fremont County audit. So we had our auditors here. They were actually here an extra 2 days. They did do a thorough review of the CARES Act funds, all of the spending requirements. Since it is federal funds, we had to do the single audit on those, and so it did take a little bit more time, but everything came together very well. So we'll be closing that all out and getting the audit finalized here over the next month or so. So that's all I have for the manager's report.
All right, thank you, Sonny. You want to go right into sales and use tax report?
Sure. Oops. Let's see. So the retail sales tax collections through February of 2021. So in February, we received $523,766, which is up $63,333 from February of last year. So year to date, we are up $230,493. The auto use tax collections in March came in at $128,777, which is up $43,823 from last year. And year to date, we are up $118,850. The construction use tax collections came in at $34,553, which is up $21,940 from last year. And year to date, we are up $37,666. And then the lodging tax collections for February came in at $8,236. So year to date, we are up $17,927 from last year. And then on the sheriff 1% sales tax, the month of February came in at $349,178. So year to date, we are up $153,662. The sheriff auto use tax collections came in at $85,851 in March, and year to date we are up $79,234. And then last, the sheriff construction use tax came in at $23,035, and year to date we are up $25,104. So overall, everything is looking good. We're well above budget in these numbers and off to a very strong start.
Thank you. It's kind of interesting, the construction. If anybody's been and bought a board lately, it's pretty amazing. $1 a foot for a 2x4 or whatever it is, but in our construction, still up. Permits and everything, so. All right, any questions for Sonny on that? Anybody?
Nope.
Okay, next we'll have our Public Health Director, Kayla Marler, give us a report. Good morning.
Morning, Kayla.
Good morning. How are you?
Wonderful.
Okay, got some numbers for you. As of this morning, we have 91 confirmed community active cases within the last 7 days. We also have 4 active hospitalizations. We have tested so far through MACO 15,534 individuals. We are starting to see the amount of community members getting tested. Yesterday we did 165. And then last week it was anywhere from 50 to 110. So we're starting to see that increase with individuals getting tested. Also, Fremont County Public Health Department has provided 11,215 first and second doses. And throughout the entire county, there has been 23,721 first and second doses provided. Couple of things. We are going to have FEMA come in, and they are going to set up a clinic at the high school here in Canyon City. And we are also working with them to set up a clinic at RE2. The clinic here in Canyon City, the first dose will be on May 5th, and the second dose will be on May 26th. We're starting to see an increase in active cases within our high schools and our elementary schools, and so with having FEMA come in and administer Pfizer, we're able to go in and vaccinate individuals that are 16 and 17. Also with that, if parents go in and sign up their kids to get the vaccine, the parents don't have to be at the actual appointment. So it makes it a lot easier for parents to get their children vaccinated.
So Kayla, on that one, can they do that online, or do they have to go to the school? How do they do that to sign their kids up?
So they will register through Centura's system, and we are waiting for FEMA to send all of that information over. And once we get that, there'll be a link provided on all of our flyers and all of our promotional. So that stuff is coming. Hopefully, we can get it rolled out by the weekend.
Okay.
And then we do not have dates set quite yet for RE2. I have been visiting with Christy Olson with St. Thomas More on a regular basis. This last weekend, we've seen a lot of individuals visiting the ER. Yesterday, they seen a lot of patients coming through the ER. Usually they average around 50. They seen about 68 come through the doors yesterday. She was going to look into seeing how many of those were COVID related. So we're starting to, not so much on the hospitalizations, but we are starting to see a lot of activity through our ER. And I believe that is all I have.
I do have a quick question. The heightened number of testing that you've seen this week already, so many more than you have been seeing. Do you have any indication, Kayla, if that's because people are having symptoms or just because through contact tracing they've been told that they've been exposed and so they're trying to find out before they have any symptoms whether or not they're going to test positive?
Through contact tracing, we're seeing both. We are seeing, especially within our high school students, in elementary, that they were in contact with a confirmed positive. Also, we have started seeing individuals that are contagious and having symptoms. They are going to work, and then they're getting too sick that they're having to eventually get tested. And so I cannot stress enough, if you are sick, if your children are sick, stay home. I know we're in the middle of allergy season. Come get tested. Our turnaround is 24 hours right now, so Mako's doing a fantastic job. But, you know, we did not go in and put local orders in place, and we wanted to give the residents of Fremont County the opportunity to just take overall responsibility in helping us stop the spread. And so, yeah, whenever I have these conversations with St. Thomas More, it's very nerve-wracking. I cannot stress enough, please stay home if you're sick. Also, you know, wear your mask, wash your hands, social distance. It's just all of our personal responsibility right now.
Yeah, I guess on that note too, we have, somebody may mention this in a minute, but we have Blossom Festival coming up this weekend. There'll be a lot of people out and about, so
Yeah.
just be careful. Mm-hmm. It's an outside venue, but still be careful and be safe.
Yeah.
Be smart.
Stay home.
Like you said,
Stay home if you're
personal
sick.
responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
personal responsibility.
Yeah.
So we all need to do it.
Hopefully we don't start seeing a complete increase. Yesterday we had 98, we're down to 91, so let's just hopefully, I'm hopeful that it'll start going down, so.
So are we.
Yeah. Very much. Any questions?
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kayla.
Once again, thank your staff too for doing the job that they're doing. Okay, I want to mention a couple of things right quick. We did this in the last meeting, I think. I just kind of want to bring it up again, and I probably will the next meeting too. The June 8th meeting of our BOCC meeting, we moved to June 10th. And during that meeting, we will have a public hearing for a major modification to Twin Enviro, the landfill. And then the July 13th meeting, we have moved to July 14th. So I just wanted to remind everybody of those changes.
All right, I
Commissioner
actually
Bell.
was just going to say what you mentioned, and Blossom Festival is this weekend, so I think we're all really excited about this. We finally have an opportunity to gather again outside, something that we haven't been able to do now for the last 13 months, 14 months. And a lot of people, including me, we're really excited about doing this. But at the same time, we do need to take some personal responsibility. So just wanted to give you that reminder and let you know that these 3 mugs will be amongst those in the parade. So you can holler at us, but please say nice things, and we'll be smiling and waving at everybody because we're just going to be really happy to be out there. So I hope to see you all. Go ahead, get serious now.
I would just add on what I had talked about 2 weeks ago at the end of the meeting. We have a little bit additional information on our website now. Appreciate Sonny's work on that and IT's work on that, and Shannon up in our office helping get all of the meeting packet information onto our website so that the public can know what we're basing our decisions on, basing our votes on. All of that will be available on the website now. If you go to the commissioners portion of the FremontCO.com website, Then you go to the meetings and agenda link. You will see each of our bi-monthly meetings listed on there with the agenda and with additional files available. And those additional files are actually what we use to make this meeting what it is. And so there's no mystery here. You get to look at what we look at. And so feel free to avail yourselves of that on our website. So that's it.
Thank you. That is a good addition. And I wouldn't feel right if I didn't say this, and I have to say it every time, and one of these days I hope I don't. The fire danger is very high out there. As you guys notice, the wind just constantly blows too, so be very diligent while you're out. More and more people are getting out because the weather's getting warm. Be very careful. Forest Service sitting over there shaking his head like, yeah, please do. So just be very diligent out there, but if you do have a campfire, put it out. Do it in the correct manners, and if there's any agriculture burning going on, do it smart. Don't do it during the wind blowing, and everybody be safe. Okay, anybody have anything else? All right. We have no business today. We move right into new business.
Citizens who may
Oh, I'm
wish to
sorry.
address
Do we have any citizens
us?
who wish to, last time I skipped you and went to them, and now you're, okay. Any citizens who are not on the agenda would like to speak, now would be the time. We've got one, but it's for an agenda item. Okay, now seeing none, we'll move on to new business.
All right.
We don't get to do these things very often. Today we have a service recognition resolution from Marshall Butler. He's a planning coordinator. Marshall, where are you? I saw you somewhere. There he is, right in front of me.
How can you miss him in
And the
that
sunflower
bright Hawaiian
flower
shirt?
shirt. Marshall, if you would come up to the podium, and Commissioner Bell is going to read a resolution, and then we have something for you, and we'd like to come down and take a picture with you too.
I have to say, Marshall, you do look like you're bound for the Hawaiian Islands. I'm a little bit green with envy here over that. So I've had the opportunity to work with Marshall now for a little over 10 years, but that's not even a quarter of the time that Marshall has served Fremont County and its citizens. And so in an attempt to express to you the appreciation that we all feel for the job that you have done over these many, many years, we were talking just yesterday, a couple of days ago, Marshall and I, and he said, yeah, I've spent way more than half my life in this building, and that's really something to give pause and think about. So I think you're probably the second longest serving person that I've ever known here in Fremont County. So it is with pride that I read the following resolution for you. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Fremont County, Colorado regretfully accepts the retirement of Mr. Marshall Butler as Fremont County Planning Coordinator for the Fremont County Department of Planning and Zoning. And whereas Marshall Butler has been a loyal and valued employee of Fremont County from August 27, 1984 until April 29th of 2021, and 5 years of previous county employment, earning much respect and admiration for his extraordinary level of dedication and professionalism for the county. And whereas Marshall Butler provided Fremont County with his expertise in reviewing zoning and subdivision applications and medical marijuana licensing, drafting county regulations, and ensuring stability and fairness regarding land use issues within the county. And whereas Marshall Butler has served as the Fremont County Government Liaison and Coordinator on numerous Bureau of Land Management committees, task forces, and projects. And whereas Marshall Butler has freely and pleasantly shared and related regulatory, historical, and anecdotal information garnered over almost 37 years of service to Fremont County officials, employees, and members of the public to ensure consistency and wisdom in decision-making and in the exercise of discretionary judgment for the betterment of citizens and their county government. And whereas Marshall Butler's accomplishments are many and include the following: assisting in developing the 1995 Fremont County Zoning Resolution, development of 4 Fremont County master plans including 2002 and 2015, coordination with municipalities on planning and rural or urban growth issues, assisted members of the public with land use issues and projects, served on committees and boards including Arkansas Headwaters Citizens Task Force, Over the River, Scenic Byways, and various others, always demonstrating a sincere, dedicated, and professional attitude. serving as the longest-standing local government representatives for the Colorado Oil and Gas Commission, department representative and liaison for the Board of Zoning Adjustment and the Planning Commission, working with citizens to pursue and correct zoning violations, providing invaluable assistance, training, and information to 4 planning directors, numerous county officials, department heads, private consultants, and Fremont County residents, and provided training, education, and expertise to the Fremont County Attorney. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Fremont County, Colorado, hereby publicly recognizes and expresses its deep appreciation and that of the residents of Fremont County to Marshall Butler for more than 4 decades of devoted service to Fremont County. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be read into the record of the Board of County Commissioners as a tribute to Marshall Butler's service, and that the official seal of Fremont County shall be affixed thereto and delivered to him. Marshall, thank you.
Here's the resolution, Marshall. And we've got you this cool little, come on here. Just throw it around. Flat. Oh, your information on it. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Marshall, thank you.
Appreciate it.
If you have a little bit of time, I've got a couple of things. 37 years is 1,924 weeks. 40 hours a week, that's 76,960 hours. And there's 4 years I didn't even count in that. I've been asked a lot of times how I could do a job like this for the number of years I've done it in the same place. And it's, basically every piece of property is different, and it has its unique qualities and problems. And you have to deal with each one differently. You have standard rules you have to follow, but you have to consider the situation in each time. I've had the opportunity to interact with a lot of different people, world-renowned artists, governors of the state, a lot of influential people, both county, state, and nationwide. I started in an era of typewriters and manual drafting, and I've ended up in the cloud. Drafting was how I first was brought to the profession. And I have to thank my high school drafting teacher, Mike Easement, for continually pushing me and telling me this is where I needed to be. I have to thank Joe Alessi. The man hired me 4 times. Twice here at the county and twice at his own private business. And bonus. The last 13 years have provided me the opportunity to meet one of the most wonderful people in the world and cherish every moment with her, Bobby Miller. Thank you.
Thanks, Marshall. I want to note, too, that the department that he currently works with is all here today to watch this, and he's worked with a lot of people, but thank you guys for being here for this, too.
And, Yes.
They are standing, actually.
They are standing back
Except
there.
Ernie.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, with all of that, I would like to move to approve the resolution for Marshall Butler and his many years of service to Fremont County.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the resolution for Marshall Butler. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell,
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Marshall.
Thank you,
Good
Marshall.
luck. Have fun.
Marshall, thank you.
Wow, it's a long time, huh?
That is a long time.
Okay. Moving on in the agenda, we have the annual ambulance license renewals. Mr. Michael Crow, our Fremont County Emergency Manager, is here. Good morning, Michael.
Morning.
Good morning. So to piggyback off what you guys said a little bit earlier about things being so dry, with the help of IT yesterday, we got something put back on the Fremont County homepage, the Alert Fremont Freecom 911 alerts. So sign up, it's an easy link. You can sign yourself up. You can use the same information you used on the previous system for this new system that we're using. Things are going to get drier. They were dry and windy yesterday, so everybody can get signed up and get those sent to their cell phone, text message, a call, emails. So all that stuff is there now to capture people's attention. I've had a lot of requests for that, so yesterday we made it happen and it's on there now.
Great reminder, Michael, and I would just like to add to that and say, if you've signed up sometime in the past, but not within the last 6 months, you have to sign up again because it is a brand new system. If you're not in the new system, you will not receive those alerts. So just sign yourself up, and anyone who may need some computer help, we'll be happy to help them get that done.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, so I think we have 7 here that you're going to talk about right now. Ms. Jackson, we need to do those on individual approvals, correct? All right.
So I'm here today to ask for the approval of the licenses for the 7 ambulance companies that provide their critical care transport and their ALS and BLS transport and patient care services within Fremont County. Of course, ALS is advanced life support and BLS is basic life support, and critical care transport is the next level up from the ALS. They can do a lot more neat things in the back of their ambulance and get you to another facility for a higher level of care. You guys have some place that you would like to start with those?
All right, and the order, ours are Florence is first.
Okay.
Florence Volunteer Fire Department.
And Florence, they were all prepared. They had everything that they needed for the ALS and BLS inspections. And I would like to ask for them to be approved in their licensing for the next calendar year.
For ALS.
And these will run through the end of April of 2022, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve the ambulance license for the Florence Volunteer Fire Department to run through, I guess, April 30th of 2022.
Running as ALS.
ALS, yep.
ALS.
Yes. Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve Florence Volunteer Fire Department to operate ALS ambulance till April 30th, 2022. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have Penrose Volunteer Fire Department.
And I do request their approval as well. They were all very well prepared as well, had everything they needed for ALS and BLS for an ALS license.
All right, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Penrose Volunteer Fire Department running as ALS through April 30th of 2022.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded to approve Penrose Volunteer Fire Department to run ALS through April 2022. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Flight for Life.
Flight for Life Colorado, they are a critical care transport company out of Pueblo, of course, and they're that next step up, and they're a great resource here to Fremont County. They're always very well prepared as well. I'd like to have them approved for an ALS license as well.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the Flight for Life license to provide ambulance services, ALS ambulance, running through April 30th, 2022.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded to approve Flight for Life to run ALS through April 2022. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Security Fire Department.
Security Fire Department, they're a great group of guys up there, very well prepared. I'd like to ask that they would be approved for an ALS license as well.
All right, Mr. Chair, I move to approve Security Fire Department running ALS. And again, this license will run through April 30th of 2022.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded to approve Security Fire Department to run ALS through April 2022. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
American Medical Response.
And American Medical Response, they're our local company here in town, always great to work with, very well prepared. I'd like to see that they would be approved for an ALS license as well, please.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve AMR, American Medical Response, to provide ambulance services running ALS through April 30, 2022.
Second, sorry.
It's been moved and seconded to approve AMR to run ALS ambulance through April 2022. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Arkansas Valley Ambulance District.
Arkansas Valley Ambulance, they were always prepared, and I'd like to ask that they would be approved for an ALS license as well, please.
All right, we like that, always prepared. So, Mr. Chair, again, I move to approve Arkansas Valley Ambulance for an ALS license that will expire April 30th, 2022.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded to approve Arkansas Valley Ambulance District to run ALS through April 2022. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
UC Health Lifeline.
UC Health is another critical care transport for interfacilities, and they're a great group up there as well. They had everything they needed and so much more, so I would like to ask that they would be approved for an ALS license, please.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve UC Health Lifeline to run ALS through April 30, 2022.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded to approve UC Health Lifeline to run ALS through April 2022. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, that's all of those. Michael, we have a person here too from the Deer Mountain Fire Department district. Would like to talk, and I would like to ask you to talk about their ambulance for just a second.
Okay. Deer Mountain has had some operational issues with their ambulance program this year, and they haven't been inspected yet. So as of this time, their license is only valid until the end of the month. And if something changes, then waiting to hear from them to see how they want to proceed, when they want to proceed, when they get both of their ambulances in order, the correct medications to run BLS and then ALS if they are able. But as of this time, they have not been inspected, and that is why their license is not on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. And Sharon Zerdima, is that correct?
No, it's
Zudema. She's the vice chair of the board from the Deer Mountain Fire District.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you for letting me come here this morning and talk about this. Yes, it's been very crazy this last year for our area with the ambulance. We've lost a lot of staff. However, circumstances have changed drastically in the last week. I now have here, it turns out that there was a communication problem with the email, and Dr. Numson did approve our license. So I have a copy here of that approval that he signed on March 1st of this year. We also have hired a person who is an EMT, Kevin Colvin, who starts on May 1st. We have 2 students that are finishing up within the next 40 days that will be getting their EMT certification, and they will be also joining. We have 2 other people who we've been in contact with who we're looking at interviewing and being able to bring on board. And our fire chief is in communication with a paramedic that lives in our district regarding being able to service our community at night and on the weekends. So while even a week ago, and part of the problem was the misfiled email that we got from Dr. Numson, so we did not know that he had approved the drugs. So I would like to dispute pulling the license since we are now in a position that we can man the service. We do have the doctor, the medical director continuing to move forward with our community, and I have the documents here if anyone would like to see it.
Okay, I received that communication also from J.R. Niblett, who's the fire chief. And it looks like the emails were going into spam, so they've got that rectified by now. But
Yes.
Dr. Numson, it looks like it's going to give them permission to buy medicines. Yes. At this time, I don't believe there's any medicines on the ambulance.
No, but we can do that before our new person starts on May 1st.
Right, and at this time, there's no personnel actually there till the end of the week, till next week. My suggestion is, once Dr. Numson, he's approved it, once there's medicine on the ambulance, and you do have personnel, then get a hold of Michael Kroll again, have him come up and inspect the ambulance once again, and then we'll move forward from there.
Okay, and then at that point, will it have to come back to approve the license?
You won't have to come back, but yeah, if everything works out right, he'll come back just like he did now and recommend approval or whatever happens with that, and then it'll be in place then.
Okay, great. And Michael, do you need copies of this? So if you could wait till after the meeting, I can provide you with those copies.
Okay, yeah, just get with him, and in the meantime, the ambulance cannot run because it's...
No, we understand that, and we are not running because we do not have an EMT, and it is not, the fire department staff will not take the risk.
Right.
And so that is why we shut it down legally, as we were required to do earlier in the year, but the problem is that our citizens need ambulance.
Mm-hmm. They do, and I applaud JR for the work he's been putting in on this. I know he's trying to retire, get this going and then retire, but it looks like you're on the right track now. Got some people lined up, got the doctor back in line, and like I said, just communicate with Michael or have JR do it, however that works, and Michael will sure accommodate and get you going as soon as he legally can.
Yeah, we had some issues about people wanting to go volunteer. However, people are not volunteering as they used to, even 5-10 years ago. So we had to go through some steps to get approval for budget and what we could afford to hire. So now we are all set. We took care of that March 30th. We put the ads in the paper, and the minute we did that, we started getting respondents. So we're
That's
good
awesome.
now.
Okay, thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
All right, we'll look forward to a new recommendation from Michael.
Okay, on to item number 3, which is a U.S. Forest Service.
Mr. Chair, we had a public hearing scheduled for 10 a.m.
Oh, we do, don't we? Okay, time out.
Sorry.
We do have a public hearing set for 10 o'clock. Time just sure gets away when you're up here having fun, right?
It does.
So, it is time for a public hearing. We have a review of a SRU 20-001 Phantom Canyon RV. We have Representative Dr. Bell and Tony here this morning. This is a public hearing, so I'm going to open the public hearing, and I'm going to first ask for a staff report from Sean.
Good morning. And so what we were discussing, there was 3 violations that were related to the SRU. The first was placement of structures that were not approved or shown on the site plan. The other was operating the SRU without meeting the conditions of approval as the drainage features were not installed. And the third was junk trash and debris being placed on site. We did go out to the site yesterday, Monday, and did go over everything with them. All of those violations have been corrected, and they are operating in compliance at this time.
Okay, so there's nothing we need to address then today.
That's correct. All the violations have been mitigated.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, there is something I would like to address.
Absolutely.
We have kind of, as a county and as a Department of Planning and Zoning, we've kind of been through the ringer with this particular application. I've stepped out of my comfort zone a couple of times to maybe advocate for things that I questioned later. I don't appreciate being put into that position and then not having our guidelines followed and not having all of the conditions and contingencies taken care of. I think planning and zoning has been very, very patient with you when some of us were about ready to lose our patience simply because you haven't been taking care of business the way that you need to take care of business. I know you would stand and give me a multitude of reasons for that, and the reality is I don't care. You need to take care of business, whatever issues that you're having. And if there are problems, you need to be coming to planning and zoning and discussing those, not waiting for planning and zoning and code enforcement to come to you. And so I understand that you will be very soon working on another application for a modification. I would highly encourage you to get that done, to get it done as quickly as you possibly can, and to appear back before this board for that application before, once again, we start looking at you because you're no longer in compliance. And so I just want to let you know that your soft road here is running out. You need to take care of business and to get things done the right way for Fremont County. We have rules and regulations in place. Other businesses manage to follow them, and I think that you need to as well. Thank you.
So this is a public hearing. Do you guys want to address the board? Dr. Billington? Hello.
Good morning. Would you pull that microphone back down just a little bit? It's Michael's stretched it way up there because he's a foot taller than you are.
Give me a stool. Good morning. And a message received, Commissioner Bell.
Thank you.
And understood. I would just like to introduce, and I don't know if you have met, that on March 1st, there's been a major change in the business structure at the facility. And as you know, I've been on this since last year when we submitted the first application. So I would like Mr. Sagar to stand to be introduced. So he is now a principal involved, along with Mr. Slayton, who you are aware of, and their new site facility manager is Bryant.
Good morning.
So that happened March 1st. And if we go back to understanding, this has been a year, but since March 1st, that's when so much of the corrections have occurred, and I think Mr. Director Garrett would confirm that that's when things really started happening. And I have been privy to or participated in the meeting on March 15th, where the ideas and the modifications to correct everything is done. And yesterday's time that Mr. Director Garrett spent on site was very informative. I believe the owners of the business completely understand what went upside down, and they are aware that regarding anything that happens on site that they want to change or have a different thought about, first place they go is Director Garrett. Whereas I think the disconnect happened in that they said go to the county, where they went to the building department, and they needed to go see Mr. Garrett first. So that has been fixed. And I am in charge of paper, so I will make sure that the paper represents exactly what they want. But you're right, it is up to them at that point to make it happen on the ground.
And it should not take a notice of violation to comply. That's where my disappointment lies.
Understood, and that many too. Yes, understood.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Either of you gentlemen want to speak? Sir? Yes, sir. And you're Sager, is that how you say it? Sagar.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Well, thank you for giving me the chance to speak here. I'm a new partner, and I have looked into the problems earlier, and I agree with you. And thank you so much for giving all the chances and time. I especially thank Mr. Sean Garrett. Especially, I met him. He was very nice. My impression was completely different when I met him. He has been working with me. And I can assure you one thing, that since I have been on this, I just purchased a partnership. I did not know what happened before. I knew there were issues, and I am committed to resolve them. I promised him to fix things, and I did them. I would appreciate, in case something mistake happens, don't hold me to the back, but I'll be proactive, and whole team is working. And Mr. Mitchell was unfortunate in this situation. The old partner, he is now under court supervision for his mental state and all. What I found out, he lied. He pulled the permits. He met Mr. Sean. He didn't do any of that. He stole the money of those things. So this is why we are in this unfortunate situation. But going forward, we will do the things properly.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
All right, is there anyone else to speak on this? Yes? Yes, you have to come up here, yeah. Wait till you get here and then say that again.
My name is Susan Lapierre. I live down the road from the RV ranch. I've watched over the last year how they've operated, made money, a lot of money, with a very substandard use of their sewer. I did file a complaint, and I'm hoping now it is addressed from what they've said. So I just wanted to voice that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you for that.
Ma'am, can you take one of those slips and fill it out for me, please? Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I'm going to close this public hearing. With that, we don't need to take any action. Okay, good luck straightening all that up and get it going. Now we go to item number 3 on the agenda. It's a U.S. Forest update. We have Destiny Chapman and someone else from the Forest Service.
And company.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for the opportunity to just do a quick update. In the interest of time, I will keep it brief and just hit the highlights of the document that I had provided. But if you have questions, please certainly let us know. My name is Destiny Chapman. I'm the district ranger on the San Carlos Ranger District, so I cover part of Fremont County. The other part of the Forest Service in Fremont County is the Salida Ranger District, and that district ranger is Jim Pitts. He wasn't able to be here today, so I'll be reporting out on items on his behalf. I did provide a map in your packet to kind of show what the breakout was between the San Carlos Ranger District and Salida. Basically, Salida covers north of Highway 50, and then on the Sangres in Fremont County, the little sliver at the bottom, just above Hillside, that's San Carlos, and then San Carlos is on the wet mountain portion. So, do have a couple of guests that will be joining me as well. Jeff Uthier and Dave Jarvis from the Rainbow Trail Lutheran Camp, who will be talking about a proposed land exchange. First of all, thank you, Chairman, for attending our stakeholder meeting that we had a few weeks ago. It's part of a new group that we have stood up to really look at fuels treatment mitigation across the landscape of all of the San Carlos Ranger District, which of course Fremont County is part of that. So we hope to have an interactive map as an outcome of that meeting so that entities can see where treatments have occurred. It could help drive decisions as to where we go treat in the future to tie some of that together across the landscape. So pretty exciting on that. Regarding fire impacts, this is on the Salida Ranger District, so we definitely are still seeing some impacts from the Hayden Pass fire and the Decker fire, so we do still have some of those road closures in place up there. The BLM and Forest Service are looking at ways that they can provide access to those areas, and so some of that work is underway, but those closures are still in effect. We're still seeing a lot of movement up there in the fire areas. Regarding forest health, if you have spent much time out in the woods lately, you've probably seen some decline, a lot of dead trees out there, so there is quite a bit of insect and disease that we're seeing out there, mostly with spruce budworm. So in the packet, you'll see a map of the aerial flights that they did in 2020. They did do a lot fewer flights just because of COVID, so they hit some key priority areas. There's a link on that. If you want to zoom into a particular area that you might be interested, you can see exactly what types of insect and disease are affecting that area. But certainly forest health is a concern for us. And then I will turn it over to Jeff to talk about some of the recreation that we're seeing out on the unit.
So I'm Jeff Uthier with the San Carlos Ranger District. I'm based out of Westcliff, and I work in the Fremont County of that San Carlos, and then I help with Salida as well sometimes. So, but last year we saw record numbers of people hitting the forest, and there's all kinds of impacts from that, from the big ones of fire and that kind of stuff, and expansion of campsites and those kind of things, just soil. We're expecting that or more in 2021. So we've kept an eye on that and just see how we deal with the use that comes about that. The Salida Ranger District's looking at maybe doing some dispersed campsite management, and they're going through their public process now. You know, that district boundary's kind of between Hillside and Coaldale, I guess would be the best way to put it. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere on the Rainbow Trail there. So yeah, Salida is working on that. I will have a youth corps here later in the summer. They're gonna work on the Newland Trail. There's not too many trails in the Wets, but that Newland's one of them. Lion Canyon, Tanner Stoltz are some of the others, but we'll work on that. There were 2 proposed wilderness areas that passed the House of Representatives. The Grape Creek Wilderness Area, which is the majority and is BLM, and then the Badger Creek Wilderness Area, which the majority is Forest Service. So those are both in Fremont County. We did have our concessionaire who we have run our campgrounds. That company is changing. It's the same kind of name, same kind of deal, but they are changing over, but we don't see any issues with that. I know Hayden and what's the other, Coaldale's the other one up there. They're both open. Hayden might still be partially closed due to the Hayden Creek fire. So, and the Rainbow Trail, they're above Big Cottonwood. There's still issues in there. They're trying to do reroutes through the BLM to get the Rainbow Trail all reconnected again.
Yeah, that one, I'm glad they're still working on that one. I've been in on conversations with that one too, and
yeah.
They were wanting to swing down too close to private property. Now it sounds like they're taking an alternate route, which is good. I hope that comes out, but as of right now, County Road 40 is still shut there at the end of County Road 40 where it goes on to Forest Service.
Yep.
And until they get that trail open, and then they may improve that parking lot, but I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't talked to them about that specific one, but yeah, that is high on their list. Is that Rainbow Trail's 80+ miles long from Marshall Pass to Medno, so it's a pretty major deal for this part of the world. So.
Okay. Thank you.
And just on that additional recreational use, we're seeing the user base has changed. So a lot of new users out on public land, which provides great opportunity and is also presenting some challenges as well. So looking at opportunities that we can help educate and help with responsible and sustainable recreation. So that's certainly something that's in our foresight as we're moving forward. So the last item that we want to update on is a proposed land exchange. And this is with the Rainbow Trail Lutheran Camp. So we have Dave Jarvis here that will be talking about that as well. So we've received a proposal, and the properties include where the Rainbow Trail Lutheran Camp currently sits, right at Hillside. So most of it's in Custer County, some of it is in Fremont County. And the proposed exchange parcel is over on the Wet Mountains up in Lock Park. And so there's a private inholding in there owned by the Rainbow Trail Lutheran Camp. And that's a property they're proposing to exchange. So where the camp sits would become then a privately owned parcel, and the Lock Park parcel that's now privately owned would become federal ownership if the exchange goes through. So it's something that does definitely have benefit to the Forest Service and to the public for that exchange. So, turn it over to Dave.
Morning.
Morning. Thank you for letting us be with you today.
Thank you.
Additional maps.
Thanks.
These maps are similar to the ones that Destiny gave you in your original packet, but this is a little more zoomed out view, just so you can get a bigger perspective of what the two properties are that are included in this. If you'll oblige me, I want to give you just a little bit of Rainbow Trail history. Our current site has over 100 years of people recreating in that area, starting back in the 1920s. Rainbow Trail Lutheran Camp bought the assets, the buildings on that property back in 1957. This will be our 64th year of operations out there. Camp serves close to 5,000 people every year now, 1,500 through our summer programs, and another 2,000 through the other 9 months of the year with retreating on our site. We run 4 different programs: our on-site program, a backpacking program that goes out in the wilderness, a traveling day camp program that people don't actually come to our site, but we go out to them in Colorado, New Mexico, Wyoming, and Utah. And then our retreat ministries. If the exchange is completed, we would have 100 acres, 67 that would be in Custer, 33 that would be in Fremont County. Rainbow Trail continues to be active in this community. Our corporate office is in Canyon City. We bank locally with Sunflower Bank. We use the local grocery stores to supplement our food service that we provide. We use Canyon Tire to do our annual fleet repairs for our vehicles that are going literally all over the place. We want to be here. We want to stay in this community and be a part of it. I really want to focus on what I see are the benefits, what we see are the benefits of this exchange for everybody. We want to have a site that is safe for kids and families to be on. We're licensed childcare with the state of Colorado, and because of that, we're sitting on public lands, which is awesome, but we really can't shut the door, so to speak, and to make it ultimately as safe as possible. So we're making it work. It works great, but having our own ownership will make a big difference in that. The public will still have continued access to the forest beyond us after this exchange. County Road 198 goes right through what our lease is right now, and that's part of the exchange that will continue to happen, so the access to that area will still be available. The non-federal parcel that sits in Fremont County that we will be giving to the Forest Service is an amazing piece of property, but it's going to open the door for hiking, camping, and hunting areas that have not been available before in that area. It's there's lynx habitat, headwaters for the Florence watershed, just lots of really cool things that are part of that property. And that will all go under the guidance of the Forest Service when the exchange happens. That property is the last privately held in-holding that's in the Lock Park area of the Wet Mountains, and so that will be eliminated with this exchange as well. Owning our own site is going to open the door for us to do more investment in our facility as well. If you've worked with the Forest Service to do those kind of things in a lease situation, it could take up to 2 years before you could put a building up, just with all the steps. And when we're in our own ownership, we'll be able to move at least a little faster and live into our master plan that way. And then the final piece of that is that part of this agreement is that we would grant a perpetual conservation easement through the San Isabel Land Protection Trust that ultimately protects all the land around us. That we will put our land into that conservancy, and then that way, the land that we're on, we plan to be here forever, and the land that we're on will always be used for the use that we're going to be using it for, and it's not going to turn into a casino or they're going to build condos or whatever, and really protect the Forest Service land that is around us. Your tax base will not be impacted by any of this exchange as well. Since we're nonprofit, we have nonprofit status on the land that's in Fremont County right now, and so that land going into Forest Service ownership won't change your tax base at all. So we're super pleased with the relationship we have with the Forest Service, the partnership that we have with them, and feel this is a win-win-win-win exchange for the public, for Fremont County, for the Forest Service, and for Rainbow Trail. And what we're asking today is for you to consider providing a letter from the commissioners that would be in support of this exchange moving forward. I have some samples. Our consultant that we work with has provided me with a set of samples so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. But we would appreciate your consideration for a letter of support for this. Destiny, anything else?
I got a comment for you. One, you answered a question I had, and that was the road going through there, and it'll still be open for public access, because that dude gets wore out. I mean, with motorcycles, hikers, vehicles. I don't know why they drive vehicles up there, because it's a rough road, but they do. The other thing was you've got a little piece of heaven there, I think. I mean, it was spared during the Duckett fire, and it was spared during the Hayden fire. It kind of stopped on both edges of that.
Yep.
So it's a unique for whatever reason. So I think it's cool that you want to turn it into private with that land swap and then improve it, I assume, for what it is, because it will be easier when it's not on federal land. But I just love that place up there. It's a beautiful, beautiful part of Colorado right there. So
yep. We do too.
Yeah.
And I would just add to that, two things. First of all, I did take the opportunity to look at your website for the Lutheran camp, and I was a little bit surprised to see how many of those camps are completely full already. We're talking all the way through August into September, and they're already full. So people are really ready to get out and to do something. So I think that's pretty amazing. And I also wanted to say, if you would let us have the sample letters that you have, we'll have a side conversation and we'll talk about writing a letter of support.
Okay. I have 2 sets.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take one. I do a lot of our writing. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Destiny, anything else?
The only thing I would add, and it's a very small thing, but if the exchange goes through, then that lock parcel would then be federal ownership, and so Fremont County would get a small little amount in payment in lieu of taxes through the PILT payment, so.
Because it's a little bigger than the other parcel, right?
Correct, yeah.
I was looking at that.
It's not a significant
Right.
difference, but there is a tiny little bit difference.
40 cents.
Maybe.
Well, I didn't think it was that small, but apparently it is.
They look tiny.
You got to take it where you can get it, right?
That's right.
I have one more comment too, and it's what you brought up about the wilderness that they're trying to get put in place up there. I personally, and a lot of people on the west end of Fremont County are totally against that. They've been pushing that agenda for several years, and have supposedly reached out and talked to all local leaders around, and no one sitting up here has ever heard from them. So there's some mistruths with that, but we all see the problems with the wilderness areas, and Hayden Pass was part of it, Decker was part of it. They can't go in there, and those fires are so hot because of all the deadfall and everything else, and I think that's what this is creating, is more hot spots, because the forest is dying from whatever it be, whether it be drought or the bugs. And then when you can't get in there to do anything about it, they wonder why the fires get hot. Well, that's part of the reason why there's so much dead wood in there. And creating that many more acres, because that's not all of them that they're trying to do. It's 14 million, 40 million, I don't remember. It's a lot with all of that they're proposing. Is just going to create more fire hazards. And eventually, I think it's going to mess with the water in a lot of those watersheds too. So that kind of worries me that they're doing that. I think they're set up this year to probably get it passed. Like I said, they've been trying for several years to get it passed. But just kind of wanted to put that on the record here that I'm personally not for it, and I kind of not speaking for the other two, but I know a lot of people are not for that. So we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, I appreciate those thoughts. You know, as the Forest Service, we don't propose wilderness.
Right.
I mean, we have to go in and analyze them. And I know on the San Carlos one, Grape Creek, we went over it a number of times and said, here's some things to do and not to do. At least, you know, we offer our recommendations and suggestions when those, and this last bill did consider a lot of our recommendations. I mean, originally those wilderness proposals went down to the Oak Creek Grade Road.
Mm-hmm.
So they did consider most of our recommendations. But
And I guess to add to that note too, the representatives that have proposed these changes are not from these areas. They're not, it doesn't go into their districts at all, so.
Right, and the one, they've been around a long time too, as you say,
Yep.
so.
Thanks.
All right.
And that's all we had. If you have any questions, be happy to address them.
I don't have any more. I appreciate the information you sent over too, and these maps and stuff. And like Commissioner Bell said, we'll have a sidebar about the letter, and I appreciate what you guys are doing. And I think the coalition you talked about before, based on fire, again, there's a lot of active talking going on amongst various organizations, and because we have to, because of the fires and because of how big they're getting and how much they're burning. So I think there's a lot of work being done, and it's great to see the cooperation between all of us, the counties, the Forest Service, BLM, Parks and Wildlife, everybody. So let's just keep doing that and
Great. Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, we
see if we
definitely
can
are all in it
mitigate what we
together.
can. Yeah.
Fire
Yeah.
doesn't stop where the jurisdiction changes.
No, it doesn't.
Definitely, so.
No, it doesn't. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for the time.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
Okay, number 4 on the agenda, Noxious Weed Management Plan, Priorities and Procedures. We have Brittany Pierce, the Weed Management Director here. Good morning, Brittany.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good.
Good. Okay. So back in February, the Weed Advisory Board put together a committee of a few people to go and review our noxious weed management plan as well as our priority procedures in February of 2020. But due to COVID, we weren't able to actually approve it until recently. So we have some edits and amendments that we wanted to make to both the plan and the priorities and procedures. I'll go over the management plan first. There wasn't a whole lot that we wanted to change. Pretty much was just some of the verbiage, some minor grammar, just so that it was consistent throughout both the plan and the priorities and procedures. The background and history, I think we added a little bit about some of the diffuse snapweed, weevil being introduced and also found along the Arkansas River by the Real Gorge. Other than the verbiage on that one, I think the other addition that was made on here was an update to the noxious weed list. The Colorado Department of Agriculture, they update their list annually, every other year or so, so it should be consistent with what they have in June of 2020. Other than that, the mapping portion, on I think Roman numeral 9 there, we added in there about recording and mapping, submitting to the Colorado Department of Agriculture through EdMaps. We have to submit a lot of our records and data to the Department of Agriculture, and we use EdMaps to do this, so that was put on there as well. Other than that, I think that's all we had for amendments. Do you guys need to approve that one, or do you want to just do them all in one?
Well, we can go ahead and approve this. We need to approve this plan.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
I would entertain a motion.
Sure, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the noxious weed management plan for Fremont County, Colorado, including the cities of Canyon City and Florence.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the amended noxious weed management plan for Fremont County, including Canyon City and Florence. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Okay. And then priorities and procedures, it was kind of the same thing. We just wanted to make sure that it was consistent throughout. We did change where it said weed control manager to manager director, just so that it's consistent. One thing that we did add in there was for the potential to have a cost share program include a biocontrol. In the past, we've just had herbicides, and to open it up a little bit more for different citizens and different priorities, there is the addition of having biocontrols available. The Colorado Department of Agriculture does have subscription plans where you can get different types of beetles or mites or anything like that. So if we ever decided in the future that we wanted that to be a part of it, we could have this intact for that. The Fremont Conservation District has also approved of this, so funding would be there for that as well. So that is on the last portion of that, and so it does describe on there what the cost would be to the landowner, as well as what would be available and the timing of the year. Let's see. And then one other thing we added was the targeted weeds. We did add in the list A's on bullet heads 1, 2, and 3, and 4 for giant reed, myrtle spurge, Japanese knotweed, and elongated mustard. And then we did update the rest of the listing as it follows through the Colorado Department of Agriculture's list. I think that was it that we have added in there. Do you guys have any questions about that?
Do not.
No questions.
We need to approve this one too, or take it, right? Yes. Yes, noxious weed priorities and procedures.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the noxious weed priorities and procedures for 2021.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve Fremont County management and control of noxious weeds, priorities, and procedures. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Brittany. I'm sure you're getting busy out there now with the weeds popping like crazy, right? Thank you. Okay. When you guys cleared out the room back there. So next up is Fremont County Tourism Council Annual Report. We have Ashley Stack and Bryant Jordan. Good
Waiting
morning.
so very patiently.
We even have a presentation. It's pretty. No one's here
They
to see it.
all went home to watch it on the
I know.
TV.
Yeah, right.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, on the big screen, that's right.
Well, thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak to you today. We really just want to check in. We have a fairly new board. We have some new folks on the board representing a pretty diverse geographical area and also kind of the industry. So we just wanted to say hello. And Brian has some great numbers, but Commissioner Grantham comes and hangs out with us at our meetings every month, which is wonderful. But I did want to kind of report on some new things that we're excited about, including we just had Mr. Uthier talk about how they have new users in recreation areas up at the Forest Service, and we are dealing with that here in Fremont County too. So we have a renewed commitment to sustainable tourism in terms of our outdoor recreation spaces. So we have partnered with the Care for Colorado Coalition, which is out of the tourism office, which essentially is supporting and promoting the message of responsible recreation and tourism in the area. So we're proud to be a member of that coalition. And we also are incorporating that messaging into places like the Visitor's Guide, which is going to press as we speak, making sure that when everyone picks up one of those visitor guides that they recognize essentially the 7 leave no trace principles, which I'm sure we all can give off verbatim, right? All the good things we should be doing, including fire mitigation and making sure folks know that we need to be responsible in our outdoor places. So we're excited about that. And the second thing I wanted to report on that we're doing is that we are really trying to get out into the community to let folks know what it is that Fremont County Tourism Council does. Even myself, when I joined the board, I knew very little about what we did and how we did it. So we are attending meetings for the Rotary, for example. We went to Rotary. We're coming to you. We would like to present to the City Council coming up. So we're really trying to get out into the community and say hello to everyone, shake some hands, and let them know that the money that comes in from the lodging tax, and only the lodging tax, no other tax-supported money comes to us, is the tax that folks don't pay, but we're utilizing it to promote our community. And of course, tourism does not exist in a silo. Tourism is here to support other industries as well. So when you have the industry like the prisons, you think, well, how does tourism support prisons? Well, the wonderful folks that work at the prisons deserve quality of life, and when tourists come, spend money, and we put that money back into, for example, recreation amenities, that provides a beautiful place for our industry partners to live and work in. To include other industries, tourism is here to support everyone, and Brian's presentation will allude to that a little bit more. So we do want to just get out in our community and let folks know what we do, how we do it, and that we are here to support and be part of our community and not just beat the drum of tourism, but beat the drum of tourism as it is a cog in the wheel that supports our entire economic thriving and development. So with that, Brian has some data and some other information that he'd like to share with you, but thank you so much for letting us come today, and we look forward to continuing and our relationship and introducing you to some of our new board members as they become more active. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ashley.
So I get to skip about 75% of the presentation because Ashley just
She just did.
It's great. I don't need to read the mission statement to you, but as she alluded to, lodging tax dollars are only paid by visitors who spend the night in the hotels, so it's not paid by locals. That money is earmarked by the state of Colorado. The state of Colorado allowed it to be used only for marketing purposes to promote Fremont County. So Colorado really quickly saw over $24 billion in visitor spending in 2019, with almost 87 million people coming to the state. Those are pretty big numbers. Here's what Fremont County did. Visitor spending was almost $200,000 on average spent daily in Fremont County. That's almost unbelievable number, but it's absolutely true. It may not happen in the dead of winter, but it'll be twice that in summer. This is an average. So tourism is a pretty big deal. Almost 1 in 10 jobs roughly are related to tourism in Fremont County, and taxes generated by visitors to this area are almost $5 million. If we did not have tourism or visitors to Fremont County, each and every household would have to pay an additional $280 in taxes per year. So when we get pushback from residents about not wanting to change or not having visitors, ask them all to cut us a check for $280 and see what happens. Here is a graph of what's happened in the last 10 years. Essentially, I've been involved with the tourism board for, I think, 10 years, maybe 11. I've lost count. But essentially, we had almost zero marketing at that time. Over the last 10 years, we've had a doubling of lodging tax. That amounts to, if you think about it, more than about double the number of people spending the night here. There are some, raises in prices that are in there, but roughly that's what it is. If we get rid of the anomalous 2020 year, the number's more like 120%. We lost about 10% in lodging tax revenue from 2019 to 2020. So over this 10-year period, what does that mean? That means in Fremont County, $646 million have been spent by visitors. That's a huge number. That money comes directly here. In this 10-year period, 21% increase in that travel spending. And if we look at our lodging tax budget, which is roughly, let's say $200,000 per year, it's that bottom white number in the blue bars there if you want to check it out, one on average. For every dollar we spend, that means that $345 came back in revenue to the county. That's a pretty good return on investment. I like to joke that if anyone else has an investment like that, if it's outside of tourism spending, come see me. I want to get involved. Real quickly, this is kind of the Tourism Council. We don't need to really go over the makeup of the board. But what I would say is that visitation is basically a first step to economics, retirement, business relocation, personal relocation, and job recruitment. Folks move here and move their businesses here because they visited and liked the area. I will not read through these either, but these are the assets that we use to market the area. Websites, Facebook pages, a lot of social media type stuff, email newsletters, a lot of PR. We arrange visits with, Ashley's actually visiting with a journalist tomorrow. They come hike, they come raft, they do all sorts of things, and we get published in a lot of big national media, big exposure for the area. We do publish this website. There's some quick stats for 2020. How many visitors looked at the site, how many pages they viewed. Those are pretty good numbers, almost 450,000 pages that folks read. We do publish a visitor's guide that is about 100,000 of these are produced each year, roughly. 60,000 of them were distributed across places in Colorado, and an additional around 12,000 were first class mailed to people who requested information specifically about the Royal Gorge region. We are required by our bylaws to give a certain amount of our budget to the community in turn, we call those community grants. So roughly 5% is dedicated to those. They usually are events of some kind. And in 2021, we awarded $12,000 in grants to community entities. Real quick example of folks that visited and decided so much they liked it, they wanted to move here. So Larry Otto is the owner of the Holy Cross Abbey Winery, and in 2005 was vacationing and decided to, what the heck, let's buy a winery and move here. Ashley can introduce herself and her organization.
Yeah, we like to emphasize, I'm sure most of you know about our 1% for Trails program with other hat. Sorry. So 1% for Trails allows anyone who walks into, for example, the Bean Peddler, buys a coffee, 1% of that purchase actually goes right back into our trail systems, which I know so many of us enjoy. So that's another method of tourism supporting our community, because they leave, we still get to enjoy them. So we get to stay here and still have those. So we like to offer that as an example of another way that tourism can support our community year-round.
So I did go pretty quick here. So the circle of tourism helps everybody. Basically, businesses for sure we're helping. Events are all supported either through community grants or invitations to visitors. Downtown is supported. We've seen downtown change quite a bit in the last 10 years. It's beautiful. Nonprofits such as FAR and others are benefiting from tourism. And certainly residents are. The tax base is increased quite a bit by all those visitors coming in, and we get to see things built, potholes filled, that sort of thing. That's it. Any questions? Am I under the 10-minute mark?
What's a bounce back rate for the website?
Bounce rate is a technical term that means they checked out the site and then left without visiting any other page. That number is a pretty decent number if you do a lot of paid advertising. There's a lot of fickle clickers, if you forgive the expression, that don't quite read the ads, visit the site, decide that's not what they wanted. Maybe they're looking for the bridge and not the regional site. If we did no paid advertising, that number would go down. If we do more, it'll go up.
So this is the presentation we've been giving to So this is the presentation we've been giving to community groups, so just to give you a glimpse of how we're representing our county and our organization.
Yeah, we feel it's important that everyone understand this. Government officials like yourselves and residents and business owners all understand this picture of tourism, especially the economic impact. That way we can get support when we ask for things, or even just general support about understanding having tourism here, be the kind face in the restaurant, be the person that's helpful on the street when they ask for directions, that sort of thing.
I want to point out one thing too. You had a whole page there of links. You guys, Royal Gorge region, of course, but there is a link under fremontco.com too that takes you right to the tourism county page, and then all that other stuff is accessible from there as well. So there's a little circle there that kind of helps navigate at least locals or somebody that's looking up the county to see what is there.
Sure.
I want to point out one thing too. The revenues of the lodging tax was down 10% in 2020. That's really not that bad for what we went through last year. So,
Not at all.
yeah, that's actually pretty amazing.
Not at all. Yeah,
And
if we could capture campground usage, we can't financially, but that would have really
Right.
increased that. So hopefully the increase that Sonny reported on in spending, hopefully those were campers and visitors who maybe not were staying in hotels, but were still shopping and eating and dining. So that's our hope, I guess.
And I was going to point out, Mr. Chair, on that lodging tax, we're 10% below 2019.
Which was high.
But the trend was upwards, and so we're probably more like 15 to 20% down from where we would have otherwise been if the trend had continued.
Yeah,
So-
possibly, yeah.
And assuming all things were going to be heading in the right direction that they were the prior 4 or 5 years. But we'll see. We'll see how things bounce back here in 2021, and hoping for some good things.
As are we.
Well, thank you guys for the work you're doing. We got, like I say, a pretty good board now. We've got them from Western Fremont County, Eastern Fremont County, the Canyon City area. It's a pretty diverse group, so thank you for what you're doing, and thank you, Brian, for helping them.
Yeah, we appreciate you all. Thanks so much for the
Thank
work
you.
that you do.
Thanks, guys.
All right, on to item number 6, which is a stifle underwriter engagement agreement. And I'll turn to Sonny.
Yes, thank you. So back in January, I received an email from Alan Matlos with Stifle, and he is actually the firm that we've used in the past to do our certificates of participation in any of our large financing items that we have. And so he was looking at our 2013 certificates of participation issuance and looking at the interest rates that we are paying on those. They're called COPs for short, and looking at what the current interest rates are, and actually approached us and indicated that if we were interested in doing a refinance on the higher end, we could save up to $3.3 million in interest on those COPs over the life. And so as much as Brenda and I love doing COP issuances and reading the hundreds and hundreds of pages of documents, that number is way too difficult to pass up. So it's something that I am requesting that we look at and move forward. So the first item is to actually secure Stifle as the underwriter in that process. And so what they'll do is they'll go out, they start putting together all of the numbers, putting together all of the documents, and then their firm is paid only upon actually closing on the COPs. So in the event we start pursuing something and the interest rates, fly up, or something comes out that it's not feasible, then that is something that we won't actually incur the cost with their firm. And so I would request that we do enter into this agreement with them and use them as the underwriter for this COP.
Anytime we see a savings of $3.3 million, potentially, that's pretty awesome.
Yes.
I don't know why. Yeah. All right. Commissioners, anything to add, or?
I do have a question for Sonny, just something that I would like if you could explain. You can do it better than I can. The reason that we do COPs to begin with, it is all tied to our sales tax and to the voter mandate that we spend a particular portion of that on capital expenditures. So could you just kind of briefly relate the two for everyone?
Yes, so what we've used COPs for in the past is to build items like the jail, to build the courthouse facility, Department of Human Services. We've done COP issuances to purchase the Garden Park building. There's been a COP issuance for out at the sheriff's office for the jail upgrades that was done a few years ago. And so back in 1982, when the voters, the citizens approved the county-wide sales tax, in that vote, it indicated that 25% of those revenues would go into a sales and use tax fund that could be used to pay for these certain improvements and capital purchases that we've done over the years. And so this issuance is actually, we're looking at just refinancing a past issuance. It's about $8 million is the total refinancing. We would have the opportunity, if there's any current needs, that we could actually add to those COPs and incur additional debt, which would be paid for by that sales tax fund. So there is no increase in any revenues that we would be asking the citizens for. But that's, did that answer your question?
It does, thank you, yes.
And my only question is, on this agreement, on the first page on recitals, the first whereas, the second line, it's issuer certificates of participation. So I'm just wondering what those are in comparison to certificates of participation.
Those are the fancy ones. We will get that corrected.
All right.
Okay, entertain a motion.
Yeah, with that, Mr. Chair, I move to approve signatures for the underwriter engagement agreement with Stifel Underwriters. Stifel.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded to enter into agreement with Stifel Underwriters engagement. Yeah, I'm kind of like you.
To refinance.
To
COPs.
refinance the COPs, yeah. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham. Aye. Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item number 7 is the Fair Board bylaws. The Fair Board took the last couple sets of bylaws that they had, which were 2013 and 2015. Reworked those. There were some language changes. There wasn't a whole, it just kind of cleaned them up a little bit. There was one change of the amount of members on the board. It's 15 to 21 persons. There was some verbiage under the officers that was corrected and straightened up. This does include the sales committee because they are a subcommittee of the Fair Board. Market Livestock Sales Committee is what it's referred to in here. And the Fair Board did look at these, made the changes they requested. We had Ms. Jackson go over them. They looked back at them and approved the changes to the bylaws, and now we need to officially approve the bylaws for the Fair Board. And with that, I would move to make, to approve the amended bylaws for the Fremont County Fair Board. That's all. Yeah. Sounded like there was going to be more, didn't it? It's been moved and seconded to approve the amended Fremont County Fair Board bylaws. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham. Aye. Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item number 8 on the agenda is a minor subdivision 21-002 that will create a total of 3 lots for the property located off State Highway 115 and Telk Road, and is currently in the process of a zone change request from Ag, what's Ag, is that Ag Living?
Ag Living, yeah.
To Ag Suburban. So I will turn to Sean for a report, please.
So as you can see, the applicant, or the representative of the applicant, Matt Koch, is not here. And so per the resolution, we would table this till the next meeting.
Okay. So
I move that we table this
Until?
till the next meeting,
Second,
whenever that may be.
which will be May 11th,
May 11th.
9:30 a.m.
It has been moved and seconded to table
2021,
this agenda till May 11th, 2021.
beginning at 9:30.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
No more